And so when I feel like giving up, I'm just reminded that I'm not doing this for me. It feels good in a way knowing that you have the friends behind the cup. Sometimes I call them the Avengers. Um, for support, it feels good.
Okay.
But then it also sort of like feels good knowing that okay, I'm not doing this for me because my time in terms of professional table tennis in the Kenyan team is like so.
Tell us about your name and your journey in this table tennis sport.
So my name is Josiah Wandera, and I've been playing table tennis since 2008 when I was in high school. I played in 2008 and 2009. That was in Form 3 and Form 4. And then I stopped because we didn't have table tennis in Busia when I finished high school.
Yeah.
And then I came back to it in 2012. Now when I came to Nairobi and I joined City Table Tennis Club. And from there I trained from around 2012 to 2015, where now I made it to the national team after my second attempt. My first attempt was in 2014. Yeah.
Okay, nice. Please share your national experience in terms of being part of the Kenyan team and representing Kenya in the games.
It's been a mixed bag of feelings, I think. In 2015, when I joined, my first trip was the All Africa Games in Congo Brazzaville. I think it was the first big stage for me. I got to play against some of the African best. I remember I was pairing in doubles with Ali Khan Kazia, and we were playing again Omar and his brother Khalid. And yeah, just two people on this side and two other giants on the other side. I mean, physically and also like literally in the sports, they are so good. They're among the top in Africa. So that was quite a big experience for me, and that experience developed over the years because I've gone on to represent Kenya in 3 All Africa Games. In 2016, I was lucky to also go for a 1.5 month training in France. There have been a couple of Olympic qualifiers in the middle and some senior African championships and Eastern regional tournaments there. But the performance, I will say it's been. I'm saying it's been a mixed bag of feelings because we found ourselves performing sometimes well, especially in the Eastern region, but not so well at the African stage and globally. Yeah, so mixed feelings. Yeah.
Okay, interesting. Please shed some light in the terms of Wandera and Friends Cup. Where did you get this idea?
So the idea came to me because I'm sort of in the last stages of my, what I will say, my table tennis career in Kenya. And so it's kind of like my parting shot. So I felt like, okay, I can organize something, I can organize a tournament. But then I think since I started playing, we've had like hundreds of tournaments. And so what would be different about this one? How can we distinguish between the Wandera and Friends Cup and other tournaments that we've had? And so from there, I had like 2 ideas to that. So one is to make it worthwhile for players to actually participate. So in terms of cash prize, we wanted to do something a bit different from the normal. I mean, you've been in this space, you know how much players normally get for their cash prizes. So we wanted to better that. And so we have about 305,000 shillings in total in terms of cash prize. I think that is for a 1 weekend tournament. I think that's the largest sum so far, I think, in my playing time. But also, too, it's not just about the money. So this is what we are calling our Play It Forward initiative in terms of, okay, in order to like leave something for the coming generation, how can I be able to support them through this tournament? And so it was a matter of trying to see if we can fill in some of the gaps that I have experienced while playing. So mainly equipment, and by purchasing those equipment to the next generation of players, we can be able to sort of lower the barriers to entry. And I think the cash prize, the way we are raising the cash prize, and also the Play It Forward initiative, those two kind of interlink in a way, because without one there is no the other.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. So yeah.
Okay. So the title of the tournament, or the name of the tournament, is Wandera and Friends Cup. Who are these friends? Because it's such a unique title, it's such a unique naming of the tournament. Who are these friends? Maybe if it's okay, you can share some light there.
Yeah. So I've played, I've been around the sport. In as much as I said I started playing in 2008, I can say that I've been around the sport now like fully from 2012 when I came to Nairobi. And since then, I've interacted with a lot of players in Kenya and in Uganda, in Tanzania, in Zambia. And in one way or another, these interactions kind of shape who you are, in a good way and also in a bad way.
Yeah.
And so when I thought about organizing this event, I didn't think about just what I can do. I thought about how can the people that we've walked this journey together be part of the process. And so I'm calling them the Friends of the Cup because these are the people that I was very much okay to reach out to for support, and especially financial support, so that the money that they give us, the money that they contribute, goes to the cash awards. And then the money that we raise through the registration fees caters for the equipment purchase to support schools, clubs, and individual players. And so those are the friends behind the cup. And for me, it works, or sort of it creates some sort of sustainability, because it's not just Josiah who did this. When I think about those equipment or the support that we'll give to the other players, it will be like, okay, it is Anthony Abuya, it is Bella Njani, it is Gloria Sego, it is Julius Maina, it's David Wambe. Those people are the ones who have made it possible, and many others who have made it possible for us to do this. I think it reminds me of, I don't know if you're a lover of books, but it reminds me of a quote from Things Fall Apart by Chinua Achebe. Yeah. There is a part he said, when a man invites kinsmen for a feast, it's not because they're starving. They have food at their own homes.
Yeah.
When we gather around the moonlight, in the village, it's not to see the moon. We can all see it from our own homes.
Yeah.
We do so because it's good when kinsmen do so. And so I felt like bringing people together, it's good for the sport. It's not just an individual thing, but it will create sort of like a community feeling, and maybe even potentially be a sustainable process, rather than just someone coming in, pumping in money, and then leaving. Yeah.
Okay. Maybe to just bring it more in matters of better understanding, could you explain about the Play It Forward, and how can other people who are not majorly into the table tennis field, how can they plug in and push through the agenda of playing it forward?
So the Play It Forward initiative itself comes from, it has been shaped by my journey itself. I've said there were a lot of friends within my circle that have shaped my journey, but also I remember my sort of turning point was in 2014. So in 2014, I met one of those friends. And it was this thing where we used to come to City Stadium and play morning, like from around 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. But then when this person came in, when he joined the club, he will notice like different things about different players, just away from table tennis. So I remember him telling me that I'll finish playing, then I'll just remove my t-shirt and sit on top of a table and just zone out.
Okay.
And so he got interested in like my life outside table tennis, like what's going on in my life. And it just happened coincidentally that I was actually going through like a tough period.
Okay.
I had just joined campus, which was very, very late, 2014, since I finished high school in 2009.
Wow.
So it was really, really late. I joined late because of financial reasons.
Okay.
And then at the same time, that same period, my boy Julian had just been born. He was like 1 month, 2 months old, a child of my youth, I would say. And so having a kid at that young age without any means of supporting him, and also just joining school and not sure about where your next semester fees will come from, and then meeting this person who got so invested in my life. And I was really, at first I was really like skeptical. I was like, why is a man like so interested in me, like, like wanting to know so much about my life? But then it turned out it was just out of good faith, and he held my hand. Since then he supported me in ways you can't imagine. He took care of my accommodation, he took care of my school fees, and mind you, I was a self-sponsored student.
Okay.
And then that allowed me to sort of leave that worry, and I could now focus on school, and I could also focus on playing table tennis. And I think that contributed to now me being able to join the national team the following year in 2015. You just can't imagine how much impact it can have in your life when you're playing without stress. And I think, for me, that was the turning point. And now the play it forward for me is I received this favor. I was lucky enough. I put in the hours, yes, but then I was also lucky to meet somebody who like invested in me. And so how can I repay that in another way? Because I can't pay him back, but I can for sure help somebody else who is coming up. And so that is the idea for me, that if we can be able to support the upcoming players in whichever way, it doesn't just mean equipment. And I'm doing this tournament to purchase equipment, yes, but it's not the only thing I'm thinking about. If you can interact with players in a more intimate manner, to the extent that they are free to share what is going on in their lives, and then if you can be able to support them, then why not? I mean, table tennis community is full of students in universities who are going through a lot of problems, because you see, when we put a tournament and we are charging, let's say 100 bob, 200 bob, some do not play because they cannot afford that amount of money. So if you can be able to support them in another way, maybe if they cannot afford 100 shillings for a tournament, what about their rent? What about their school fees? What about just their meals? What about their transport to come for tournaments? So if we can be able to support them in that way, that would be great for me. So my call is to the generation of players that I've grown up with, to extend sort of the same support that they've received in one form or another to the next group of players. So this tournament is just sort of the starting point, through lowering the barriers to entry in terms of playing table tennis when they can access equipment. But then a bigger call is to have those sort of close relationships with the players, and understand them and be able to support them in any ways that you can in other areas of their life.
Okay. One thing, let me get it clear. It doesn't have to be you have been playing table tennis. You can come through and support the Play It Forward initiative, no matter where you come from.
Yes, it's a call to anyone who has interest in the sport. I mean, we can reach so far in terms of putting it out there, because table tennis is not like a bigger sport in Kenya like football or rugby or athletics. But anyone who has interest in table tennis can come in and support. And I reached out to the friends behind the cup, and I wasn't expecting what we've received so far. Like, I was reaching out, to ask for 1,000 bob, 2,000 bob, but then the amount that we've received so far, it's amazing, and it's surprising to me, because I've had players committing 30,000 and they're telling you I'm sorry, but right now I can only commit 30,000. You're like, what?
Wow.
Okay, that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
But, you know, so I've had players commit 20,000. I've had players committing 5,000, and some of those players, it's not that they're committing because they have a lot. It's just because they love the sport, and that amount, whatever they're putting on the table, is a sacrifice because they could have used that money for anything else, and they're not obligated in any way to support. But they've been able to come through, and we have pledges right now as we're talking that it's about 300,000 in terms of pledges, and we've received about 262,000 of that already. And so it's been great so far. And none of those pledges, none of those contributions have come from people outside table tennis, by the way. Those are all people who have played table tennis in one form or another. Yeah.
Okay. What inspired you to involve friends and families and the table tennis community at large?
Ownership. I think it's ownership.
Okay.
If you do things in silos, you end up creating some sort of islands of success. It's not owned by anyone. People just say, okay, Ivy is a good player, but she does her own thing and then leaves. Josiah is a good player, he does his own stuff and then leaves. But then when you're doing it like in a group, it creates some sort of ownership. So one of the things I've noticed in table tennis is there are a lot of people earning money in different ways. We have people who sell second-hand equipment within the sport, and that's okay. I have nothing against them. But then we've had like several cases whereby people have received equipment for free to donate, and then you end up seeing them being sold.
Yeah.
And the reason I'm talking about ownership here is that if we buy the equipment and we give them out, and because it's not just Josiah, then I can be able to have like several people around the country who can be able to monitor that, because my support, I'm receiving support from Anthony, for example, who is in Kisumu. I'm receiving support from Audrey, who is in Kilifi. I'm receiving support from people in St. Teresa's Club, people from City Stadium, people from all over. So if this equipment end up being sold, if we give this equipment and then somebody sees that Josiah gave out this and then it's being sold out, you're able to identify and you're able to call them out. Right? So yeah, I think it will create sort of that sense of ownership of the project itself, and hopefully it can inspire also other great players from my generation to come up with their own initiatives and also be able to support the sport.
Okay.
Yeah.
Being an organizer of such a big tournament, we have the good times of getting the money, getting the funds, and actually getting support. But we also acknowledge we have challenges in life, challenges in the organization terms per se. Could you share how have you managed to solve the challenges and actually come up with ideas of the challenges, and what are the challenges per se, the exact challenges?
I don't think I've been able to solve them. I think I'm still deep in the murky waters of those problems. And yeah, there have been many challenges, and one of them, I think, for me, is making calls. I'm really not a fan of making calls. I'd rather text you. But then this one pushes you to actually make calls and have sort of difficult conversations with people. You know, you're asking people, you're borrowing money from people. So yeah, I've had to sort of navigate that, just calling a few people, asking them for help. So that is one. Two, I've been a player and I've done nothing about organizing a tournament. So this is my first time trying to organize a tournament. And so you come out with a million ideas, you have a million ideas, but then you cannot execute all of them. And so prioritizing what to go with first also has to come in handy. And I remember when I started this, I talked to Audrey, and Audrey wrote to me and told me, you have your own ideas, and trust me, you will receive like 1,000 other ideas from other people. Just remember, you are the organizer. As much as I can come to 1, 2, 3 people and ask for the ideas, I cannot incorporate all of those ideas, even if they are good ideas. Sometimes we're just limited in what you can do at that time. And so, yes, it's good to talk to people, but it's also good to like have your own identity within the project itself. But I've also, I think in terms of navigating, I've also had support. It's not just those friends behind the cup are not just supporting in terms of money alone. I mean, I have reached out to people like Kamwara. He has a lot of experience in terms of officiating, and he will be the lead official, taking care of how the tournament will be run, taking care of the umpires. As I'm speaking right now, I don't even know what that will comprise of, like who will be in his team. I mean, I've perhaps maybe floated one or two suggestions to him, but that is his own team. Okay, I've had people like Fred Mulati coming in and trying to like help me with brainstorm ideas around how we can fundraise better. Mandy as well, Bashir in terms of logistics. So that kind of support from other people also has helped me lift a little bit of weight off my shoulders. And I think the community itself has also come in handy. You yourself trying to bring in your high energy to our social media spaces. Kings behind the camera as well. The sort of Gen Z players, the likes of Tambua, Viso, they sort of just bring in some sort of different energy that the millennials than what the millennials are accustomed to, and trying to push the tournament to their peers. And I think that is a huge plus. And we've not spent a shilling on that so far. So that's good.
That's nice.
Yeah.
What keeps you going when the times are tough?
You mean in terms of organizing this event?
Being an organizer, dealing with logistics, when you feel like response are not coming out as you expected. The number of calling, you said calling people is, for me, I can relate. I hate calling to ask for help, like, you know what, this and this. How have you managed to deal with that, and what keeps you going?
So I think how I've navigated that is also related to something that I'm not very comfortable doing, which is still talking to people. And for example, I talked to another table tennis player, Kevin Kavili. I know a lot of you don't know him, but he's always in the scenes, behind the scenes. And when I talked to him at first, and I was very excited, about the number of pledges that we received and all that. And then I was like, hold on, those are pledges. You've still not received that money in your account. And so you should be cautious about that. And he was like, okay, I'm sending you mine right away, right now. But he also told me something else. He was like, you didn't have to do this, but you did it. And so that in itself should be like a plus, like you could have just continued on, or just like gone on and playing table tennis for fun as you're outing out, or as you're going out, or you could have just sort of maybe just organized another tournament the way other people organize, just get the registration money, pay logistics, and then the remaining you give out as awards. Just sort of the simpler way in quotes, but then you've decided to go down that route, and that in itself should be a sort of encouragement for me. And so when I feel like giving up, I'm just reminded that I'm not doing this for me. It feels good in a way, knowing that you have the friends behind the cup. Sometimes I call them the Avengers. For support, it feels good. But then it also sort of like feels good knowing that, okay, I'm not doing this for me, because my time in terms of professional table tennis in the Kenyan team is like so I'm just thinking about the next player. I'm thinking about the Tremons, the Stefano. I'm also thinking about the girls in St. Monica, the girls in Nakuru. There is another club there called St. Teresa's. The girls in St. Teresa's here in Nairobi, and City Stadium, the boys and girls there as well. So I'm thinking about those players, and I'm putting myself in their shoes and what I would have wanted right now. that would have helped me maybe take my game a level higher. And yeah, so that is sort of my motivation. And we can, there is this thing that has been going on in the Kenyan table tennis community about junior players, that we should focus on junior players.
Yeah.
And I agree with that. But we should also know that those junior players look up to senior players. And if I am a junior player and I'm looking at Josiah, who is playing table tennis, and I'm seeing him, he's very frustrated. I'm seeing the kind of life that he's leading, he's not even motivated. I don't want to be him. Then I will leave the sport. But if I look at Josiah and see, okay, he's doing well in his professional career, he's doing well in table tennis, he's doing well in ABCD, then I want to be him.
Okay.
So as much as we want to support juniors, in order to sort of sustain that process, we also need to support those above those juniors. So I'm talking about those players who are like 18, 19, 20, 21, that level of players, Akina Tamboa, Akina Levi, Akina Soila, those players who, are like sort of the next big thing. If those players are successful, then the junior players in Ayaro Table Tennis Academy in Kisumu, the junior players in St. Monica, the junior players in St. Joseph will be motivated.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think we sort of need to support both and not just focus on one level of players in order to like sustain the whole ecosystem.
Okay. So that answers the question of the impact you are to create with the Wandera and Friends Cup, right?
Yeah. I think if we can have like a lot of other initiatives cropping up, not just from me, from other players that sort of are anchored under the same umbrella, under the same theme, that will be a success for me. Yeah.
Okay. Going back to your introduction and how your journey has been, it has been a journey of ups and downs. And since when you were a youth and
Are you calling me old?
No, you're a youth. Anyways, but what advice would you give to that student who is in campus and wants to quit table tennis, in terms of it's hard to balance out getting money and whatnot and everything, basing on let's talk it in terms of another Josiah somewhere. Yes.
I mean, you've been in the field, you know the hustle.
Yeah.
You sell as your plantain crisps every Strasse tournament.
Yeah.
You're in campus as well. You play table tennis, so you can see how juggling the three, the business, the sport, the education, how tasking it can be to one person. But one thing is clear. You have to do both. I mean, education and sports. And especially in the context of Kenya table tennis, or maybe even East Africa table tennis. And the reason for that is that over the years, I've noticed some of the pathways, some of the doors will be open for you depending on what you do in other areas of your life. Some of the doors in table tennis will be open for you depending on what you do in other areas of your life. And so, for example, we've seen a lot of table tennis players being employed in banks. But for them to be employed in banks, they were known or they were seen in table tennis.
Okay.
But also, they wouldn't have been employed in those banks if they did not have the qualifications to work in those banks. So education and sports have sort of aligned. Yes, to help them navigate that path. Two, we've seen a lot of table tennis players in primary schools getting opportunities to go to high schools and being fully sponsored in those high schools because of table tennis. Musumba, the coach, St. Joseph's, has recruited a lot of players, giving them scholarships because of table tennis, so that they can continue playing from primary to high school. And those kids have gotten those opportunities of going through their high school education free because of table tennis. Universities, there was a point where Strathmore University was giving sports scholarships. I don't know if they still do that, giving sports scholarships from high school to university to a number of kids, the likes of Evelyn, the likes of Gloria Sigo, the likes of Idris Kolubi. So those players have also benefited because of sports. So I feel like in the context of Kenya and East Africa, you really have to focus on both. And it's not really, it's tasking, but it's not something that is not doable. You have to balance. I feel like during my time when I was in campus, table tennis can be really addictive, and you can end up playing table tennis more than you're studying. And I was a victim of that. I think I keep saying this because I got a retake in a unit where nobody ever got a retake when I was in campus, and that's because it was a computer networking and labs unit, and this unit had no exams, had no cut. All you had to do was just attend lab sessions, sign a sheet, and that. Everyone got A's in that unit, apart from me. Why?
Attendance.
Attendance, because it was on a Monday afternoon, and on that Monday, that was the only day that was the only unit I had on that Monday in the afternoon. And where was I?
Table tennis.
Yeah, I was playing table tennis, and I had somebody sign for me 1 or 2 times, and then they found out, and then they just told me, you know what, you're gonna retake this unit. And for me, that was also a lesson. Like you have to sort of instill yourself some kind of discipline in both sides for you to be able to navigate, and you never know where your doors will open. So in short, you put in the hours, both in school and in sports, and then you get lucky. You hope to get lucky, right? And then, boom, your graph is up. So those examples I've given you are examples of people who have benefited both from being really good in school and putting their efforts in sports, and then getting lucky for their career paths to open. And we have to acknowledge that maybe for some, that is all. Not everybody has to play for the national team, Maybe for some, that is their path. Like table tennis was just a path for them to actually get to work in a bank. Table tennis was actually just a path for them to go to university, and that's okay. And so, I think different people also have different goals. Different paths.
What can you say to the young people, younger than you, per se? What can you tell them? Those who feel like giving up, those who feel like, table tennis, we're not getting as much as we expected. We're not going to these tournaments as expected. What can you advise?
So you're speaking about those players in the national team who end up not going for international tournaments because I think you need to be resilient.
Okay.
I mean, that's going to happen. Some things are just beyond your control. You can leave the politics to the politicians. I think everyone will have a role to play in terms of making sure the sport is where we want it to be. And so you have to recognize your role in that. So if you're a player and you're actively playing and you really want to be in the team and go outside and represent the country, I think your focus or your energy should be spent there. The other people who are sort of away from the sport, like playing actively, and you can see they're dedicating their energy to try and bring things to line in terms of the management up there. And so, let them fight that fight, They're sort of other people who feel that maybe they can do both because perhaps they feel they do not have anything to lose. So you need to just recognize the role of each individual, and you need to know whom to talk to if you want something to be pushed. And I think it's a bigger fight. It's in my line of work, like what I do outside table tennis, we do sort of categorize problems into 3. There is a simple problem, there complex problems, and then there are wicked problems. I think table tennis, we're having
Wicked.
wicked
Yeah,
problems.
wicked.
And wicked problems require fuzzy solutions. That's what we say. And those solutions, what do you mean by fuzzy solution? Is like there's just no clear pathway to change. Yeah, you have to attack it from sort of different angles.
Yeah.
And I've seen sort of improvement in the past year or two in terms of people are saying, okay, for how long will we keep complaining about, the management, the politics, the federations, the Ministry of Sports for how long? So let's do our thing. Strasse, for example, they've decided to like have their own thing, and players are participating in that. And so you have to recognize what your role is, who can support to push some of your agendas,
Okay.
and use them in a nice way. Use them or let them do that work for you as you focus on other things. I think my advice to players your age would be just focus on two things: school and the sport.
Okay.
And yeah, the politics, other people will take care of the politics. Yeah.
Okay. So the main thing you're passing out is when that time comes for you to shine, you need to have something. So maybe if you have not been training, you've been into the politics, you will obviously be left out.
Yeah, so I said you put in the hours, and then the effort, and then you hope for a little bit of luck. So I'll give you an example. In 2015, I played my second national team trials. My first trials was in 2014. And when I was playing in 2014, I didn't even have a passport. So people from City Stadium, we were just playing so that we can create a path for Josh to go and join the team. So if we find somebody, if we meet anyone who is outside the City Stadium, we beat them. And then we just create sort of a path for Josh. Unfortunately, he did not make it to the team because there were like three other top players ahead of him. Michael Cheno, Peter Theuri, Anthony Mazenke, they made it. But then in 2015, I was like, okay, I didn't have a passport in 2014. I cannot play trials in 2015 without a passport. So the first things first, I need to get a passport first. And then I played in the trials in 2015, and I ended up being third. But the communication from the association that time was that only the top two players are guaranteed to go to that All Africa Games in Congo Brazzaville. And then the other two sports, one was meant for a junior player, Alikan Kazia went, and then the other sport was a wild card. And so the reason I'm saying that you put in the effort and then you have a little bit of hope that things will fall your way was that there was no guarantee that I was going to be given that slot because it was a wild card slot. It could go to anyone. But I was given it because of input from what I would say maybe two other people. So one of them was Barwan. I came third. I deserve this spot. It shouldn't go to anyone else. And he was in constant communication with the association about that. But the other person who also put in a word for me was James Goro of Kisumu. And he put in a word for me also to the association that I've come, I've watched the games, I've watched this boy play. He used to call me a ghetto boy because of how I used to shout and play. And I think he deserves the opportunity. And so that for me was luck.
Okay.
Plus the effort that I've of course put in. So when that luck comes, you need to be ready.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying, and different players have sort of had different pathways to the national team. Some for them it has been very clear, but some of us it's been like, yeah. So it has to find you ready, and the way to get you ready, especially at your age of around 19, 20, 21, at that age, is if you decide on what areas to focus on. And trust me, you cannot be in all. You cannot be in the politics. And playing and school and maybe even a side hustle like you're doing. I think when you have ideas about how you think the sport can be run, you can float those ideas, and you can float it through other people, or you can just be vocal about and open about it as you've been. But it shouldn't consume a lot of your time, because for me, I feel like there are other important things
to do.
Yeah.
True. Okay, and to the next. As we finish up, what are your closing remarks? What can you tell to the people who are coming for this Wandera and Friends Cup? And yeah, final remarks.
So first is I hope they come.
Yeah.
So that will be my rallying call will be like, I want to see all the top table tennis players in the country. I want to see the players who are playing for the fun of it. So like as a leisure, I want to see them attend. And that is because first, it will boost the visibility of table tennis in the country, to boost the visibility of the Wandera and Friends Cup.
Okay.
But also, it's that we need the registration money. I mean, without that, we're not buying anything. We're not buying the equipment. We're not buying the bats, the blades, the balls to give out to schools, clubs, and individual players. So this is a call that this is bigger than any one person. It's bigger than me.
Okay.
So I'm calling on the entire community, table tennis community, and friends of table tennis community to come in, attend. And two, I think just to think post the event, post the Wandera and Friends Cup. To be honest, we may not have another Wandera and Friends Cup, let's say in 2027. That's not my thinking. But what I'm carrying forward is the Play It Forward initiative. So we can build something around the Play It Forward initiative itself, and it can take different angles. It doesn't have to be in form of a tournament. It can take another approach that maybe I haven't even thought of. And the idea is maybe somebody else thinks something that can help boost that. Or maybe somebody else, like another player, maybe comes in, maybe like Del Anjani, and holds like Anjani and Friends Cup, and we support her. And so that is my thinking. How can we sustain this to be more than just a one weekend event? And we can start brainstorming and thinking through that as we head towards the tournament. So my rallying call: register before March 6th, pay before March 6th, and then leave the rest to me. And I'll see you on March 27th to 29th at Goan Institute.
Thank you so much for your time, Josiah. Thank you so much for being with us through this interview. It has been a wonderful experience getting to learn about the organization of Wandera and Friends Cup, getting to learn about the organizer, Wandera himself, Wandera Josiah. And we hope that through this, more players will get to think of ideas of how to play it forward and how to make table tennis great. And let us grow the talent, let us grow table tennis, and you are most welcome. I was your host today, Queen Ivy Wabomba. Gifted Chana Crafts, and see you there. Bye-bye.